P01, I didn't expect that one day I would travel to Konoha, and what's more, I will still be an intern teacher after traveling. Dry. Kakashi sat in the office doubting life. The day before, the bear child who was still having a headache in elementary school didn't like male teachers. I didn't expect that the next day I would not have to worry about being unemployed and being complained by parents, and now. Looking at the noisy children outside, he couldn't get a trace of excitement in his heart. The ninja world is too dangerous. Konoha is relatively safe, but it has been plagued by disasters for so many years. This is not. A few days ago, the Battle of Kyoichi Mountain had just ended. Jingyi was injured and returned to the village. After the initial recovery, he was assigned to the ninja school as a teacher. Alas, it's a pity that the Chinsho clan has long since fallen, otherwise they would still be able to eat and drink with their backs. Quote. Kyōichi sighed. The Kanda family has thousands of blood. The Chinsho family used to be brilliant, but, since the first generation, the Chinsho family has been continuously dividing and integrating into Konoha. After the second generation, the Chinsho family basically has only a few direct descendants, and now. Basically, Tsunade Heim is the only one who can truly be called 1,000 hands. However, even Tsunade didn't actually use Senju as his surname, so Kanda Jingyi couldn't enjoy the dividends of the Thousand Sho clan. He estimated that the blood of Chinsho in his body was not strong at least it can't be higher than Tsunade's granddaughter. Don't think about the fairy body. Talent a 15 or 16 years old, it is still only Chunin, it seems that it is like that. Kyōichi is very worried. According to this, it is a question whether or not you can live to old age and die in this life. After all, Konoha will face various disasters in the future, the Third Ninja World War, the Night of the Nine Tails, Konoha's collapse plan, etc. A Chunin, in the face of those enemies, is simply a mayfly shaking a tree. The aftermath could kill him. Otherwise, I'll go get some intercolumnar cells, maybe there's still a chance to master the wood tunnel. Jingyi thought, the ninja world is too dangerous. Don't get stronger, just wait to die. He was thinking about this when the bell rang outside. Get out of class has ended. It looks like it's me in the next class. Kyoichi mainly teaches ninjutsu. He didn't understand why he came to teach this by himself. After inquiring about it, it seems that the previous one died in the front line, and the position was vacant and a strong man was temporarily arrested. Therefore, Jingyi belongs to the internship position. Well, let's go to class first. Anyway, the school's ninjutsu class is not difficult. The three-body technique, the memory in the head is enough to fool the children. Kyōichi thought to himself. He just got up when a strange voice suddenly sounded. Couldn't hear clearly at first, but then he understood. A Euro tutor system is being activated. A Euro activation succeeded. A Euro teaching students with heart will get rewards, and becoming a life mentor will get more extra rewards. A Euro, there is currently a novice gift package. Do you want to receive it? A Euro, host, mentor system, newbie package. What is this? Induction package. Jing was stunned for a moment, then secretly said in his heart, get it. Your three-body technique proficiency has been raised to the highest level. You get a reward. Bloodline purification. Your bloodline has been purified and upgraded to the bloodline of 1,000 hands, and your physique has been greatly improved. Your soil escape and water escape effects have been improved. In the corridor, Jingyi first had a lot of usage and knowledge about the three-body technique in his mind, and then he felt his whole body boiling. He can be sure that his body temperature is soaring. Is this a purification effect? He was a little confused at first. But then came a burst of ecstasy. Thousands of blood. Just looking at the front, the improvement of physique, earth and water is obvious. In addition, a strong physique means that the amount of chakra has become more. There will be more benefits in the future. Identity, intercolumn cell phase, etc. Can be imagined. What's more, I still have this mentor system. The novice gift package is so powerful, and I may have a chance to get the fairy body or even the reincarnation eye in the future. With this system, it is possible to survive in the ninja world. Kyōichi couldn't help but be excited. I don't know how the mentor system is. Quote. He thought to himself, from the system prompt, as long as you teach your students carefully, you can get rewards, but later it is mentioned that you can get more rewards by becoming a life mentor. However, what is a life coach? Jingyi thought about it again and again, and decided to not think about it so much, and went to the classroom to talk about it. Look at who your students are. After the bloodline was purified, he soon noticed the change in his physique. Not to mention, just walking is a lot faster. At the door of the classroom, he saw a familiar person. Uchiha Obito. This Guya Euro A Euro. Are you Uchiha Obito? Yes, teacher. When Obito saw Jingyi, he was a little embarrassed and a little awkward standing at the door. Go in and sit. Don't think about it. Must be late again. After entering, he saw many familiar faces. Rin, Yuhika, Asuma. Also, Shisui, Red Bean, and Gale are also in the class. Manpower is scarce in wartime. Many teachers have gone to the front line, so the ninja school with not too big age difference merged to teach together. This is a temporary policy, and it is something that can be helped to A Euro, including the temporary recruitment of Jingyi. Hello everyone, my name is Kakashi, and I will be your ninjutsu teacher next. Teacher, I heard that you just came down from the battlefield. Can you teach us more practical ninjutsu? As soon as Obito saw Jing entered, he immediately shouted. This thing is really not afraid of life. Pure social bullshit, and the front foot also had a face-to-face with Jingyi, as if they had known each other for a long time. Kyōichi gave him a speechless look, but, in addition to him, Yuhi Hong and Rin were also curious about the teacher who came down from the battlefield, and had some expectations in their hearts. They all have the idea of a Euro graduating early. Therefore, the battlefield and new ninjutsu are what they yearn for. However, among the ninjutsu mastered by Jingyi himself, in addition to the three-body art, there are only shadow clones, instant body art, water chaos waves and water formation walls. It is impossible to teach them, and... He half smiled, looked around, and said, do you think that your three-body technique is fully qualified and you don't need to practice at all? No one answered, but all the children's expressions showed that their inner thoughts were in agreement. Okay, then in the first lesson today, I will teach you three-body techniques. If you think you can meet my standards, why not teach you new ninjutsu? Kyōichi smiled. With his full level three-body technique, it was more than enough to teach them. A bunch of cubs who want to run before they learn to walk. Let's go to the practice field. Okay, to the practice field. Jing glanced around. There are a lot of geniuses here, but in fact, in terms of comprehensive strength, Obito can at least rank in the top 5. He just doesn't have a round eye. Except him. Possibly the water stopped. Bring soil and stop water. You come up. Yes, bring soil to the middle. Shisui also came out. A pair of two, together, attack me with all your strength. EPO2 what? Yes, Obito was still in shock, but Shisui responded without hesitation. Follow closely. Shisui took out Kunwu, looked at Obito, and made a gesture. This is Uchiha's contact code. Obito was stunned for a moment. The little brother of the family. Seriously. His expression became serious. He nodded lightly, and then quickly took out his shuriken and threw it at Jing. Except for the occasional randomness, lateness, and no awakening of Sharingan, this kid has achieved quite good results in other aspects. With unremitting efforts, his shuriken manipulation skills are very strong. More than a dozen shuriken, flying from multiple angles, closed all the roots of Jing Yi. However, Jing Yi nodded the seal, and a clone appeared. Next moment the two figures began to quickly avoid the shuriken. The real body and the clone have different movements, but the movements to avoid the shuriken are perfect, and none of the shuriken hits. Shisui looked for opportunities on the side, but Jing Yi's clone had no flaws at all and could not be distinguished at all. And, Jing Yi is very fast. Is this the strength of Chunin? He was shocked. Aren't you going to attack? Then it's my turn. Jing Yi smiled, and then quickly went to Obito to kill. Get this done first. On the road, the real body and the clone are one after the other. Two shuriken threw out. Obito quickly retreated, forming a seal in his hand, followed by opening his mouth to spit. A fireball engulfed Jing Yi's figure. The art of fireball. With soil, Lin was shocked. This kid is so messed up. He actually used this level of ninjutsu in this kind of battle. However, the next moment, she found that her worries were unnecessary. In the fireball, Jing Yi quickly rushed out. It's a clone. Shisui understood. But, what about the real body? His eyes glanced at the audience, and finally his breath stopped, and he quickly shouted, be careful with the soil. Obito looked bewildered. Careful, be careful, this is a clone. The next moment, Shisui formed a seal, and instantly moved to Obito's side. He pulled out his kunai and hit the shuriken that was out of position. The shuriken appeared and changed back to the appearance of Kyoichi. But, bang, 1 foot. Shisui was kicked out. As soon as Obito wanted to act, he found that his neck was cold. Kubu, on the battlefield, you are already dead, Kyōichi said lightly. Obito's strength is not weak, but unfortunately at this stage, he lacks agility. Certainly, children are about the same. The strongest here may only be Shisui. That instant, it is indeed the instant stop water of the future. Father, like son, Obito didn't know what was going on, but others could see clearly. Before Obito released the fireball, Jing threw 2 shuriken. But, after the Hao fireball, there was one more. Apparently, Jing Yi used the avatar technique to dodge, change positions, and then transform into a shuriken. Great as great a Euro, Jing Yi's speed is very fast, almost in one go. Amazing. Lin widened her eyes. This teacher, is it really just Chunin? Hong Yuhi was surprised. If Shisui hadn't noticed it, Obito might have been killed instantly. This teacher is definitely not an ordinary Chunin. Elite Chunin. Even, comparable to Shang Nin, and, his 3 body skills are amazing. Maybe not even my father, this level, to be a ninja teacher for them. She thought it was incredible. Do any of you still think that the 3 body technique is useless? I haven't used the shadow clone just now, otherwise, there will be more changes with the shadow clone. Jing Yi said and threw a smoke bomb. The smoke dissipated, and there were more than a dozen clones inside. Guess what? How many are shadow clones and how many are clones? If there is a riding wheel Obito didn't dare to say it halfway through. There are very few riding wheels. Not everyone in the clan is awakened, and only the Uchiha clan of Konoha in the ninja world has it. In addition to Sharingan and Bayan, there are only a few secret perception techniques that can distinguish the difference between a clone and a shadow clone, but the probability of encountering such an enemy is very low. Most of the time, this approach works. So, you guys are still too young and too simple. Study hard, and still take the 3 body art class today. Who was for and who was against? Jing glanced at him. No one dared to speak. Obito may theoretically be the tail of a crane, but he is not weak in actual combat. Although Shisui is young, his strength is very strong, and it is estimated that he will meet the requirements of early graduation this year. Actually, Shisui thought so. He didn't think he could learn much from the ninja school, thinking about graduating early this year and leaving. But, the arrival of Jing Yi made him feel different. The opponent didn't use the rest of the ninjutsu, just relying on the simple cooperation of the 3 body technique and taijutsu. He and Obito quickly countered and killed such strength. Is it just Chunin? It turned out that he was still too weak. Facts have proved that the 3 fires of the new officer's appointment are still useful. After a wave of deterrence, no one has any comments on Jing Yi's lectures, and they listen carefully. Konoha office. 3 generations of adults. Sit. The 3rd Hokage was smoking a cigarette, and there was a crystal ball on the desk in front of him. It was Shiki Hisanara who entered the door. Lu Ju, how much do you know about this kid Jing Yi? Kyoichi. Lu Ju glanced at it and noticed that in the crystal ball, the scene where Jing Yi was training with the children appeared impressively. But, he took a few glances, and was secretly surprised. What a great triad, not just solid, the knot is so fast that it is almost invisible, and the mutual cooperation of the 3 body techniques has reached the extreme. Although it seems that there are many flaws in the training ground, if combined with smoke bombs, ninjutsu and shadow clones, Jing Yi can survive on the battlefield with 3 body techniques alone. Not only that, this kid's physical skills are also very strong. Is he just Chunin? Wrong. Lu Ju recalled the information about Kyoichi in his mind. He was not so strong before, and his physical skills were excellent, but he did not perform so well in the picture. 3 generations of adults. I remember that Kakaki's grandmother was a 1,000-hand clan. Quote. You mean, he probably awakened Shinshu's bloodline. 3 generations of smoking stopped. Thousands of hands. It is possible. Shinshu's bloodline is very strong, and the 2nd generation's chakra and physique were naturally superior to ordinary people. And, life and death battles often inspire potential. The pipe hits the table regularly. The 3 generations were silent, and after thinking for a long time, he smiled and said, it's a pity Tsunade is not here, otherwise she would be very happy to know the news. Yes, Lu Ju didn't say much on this topic. He looked at the crystal ball, observed it for a while, and said, my lord, I think Kakaki's strength can at least be rated as a special Junin. He didn't get enough credit, and it's a bit inappropriate to rush to improve. 3 generations shook their heads. When Lu Ju heard the words, he nodded and stopped talking. Okay, you go down. Yes, Kakashi left. The 3 generations sat in the seat without smoking, letting the shredded tobacco burn there, looking preoccupied. A long time. He clapped a few times. After a while, an Anbu appeared. Let people pay attention to Tsunade's whereabouts. If you encounter them, tell her that Kanda Jing Yi may awaken the blood of the Chinsho family, and ask her if she would like to go back to the village to see. Yes, EPO3. Do you know the will of fire? 3 body jutsu is the most basic ninja and also the lowest consumption ninjutsu. In the exercise field, we can use powerful ninjutsu without worrying about the consumption of chakra, but it is different on the battlefield. Saving a little chakra might save a life. Jing began to talk about the understanding and skills of self. Some come from the predecessor, but more come from the three-body art, knowledge provided by the system. Everyone listened carefully. Today is not as good as it was then. The successive wars have made Konoha a little green and yellow today. More and more children graduate early to participate in the war, such as Kakashi and Kai. Many of this mixed class may join the war this year. The guidance of an old ninja on the battlefield is really very useful to them. At this moment, even the skinniest Obito dared not whisper. Teacher, how can I use less chakra? Teach a euro to question time. A group of people raised their hands enthusiastically. Kyōichi answered patiently. The bell rings. Get out of class has ended. Okay, classmates, you can practice on your own after you go back. If you have any questions, you can come to me after class or ask questions in the next class. If you have nothing to do, you can disband. Kyōichi breathed a sigh of relief. The first lesson in the ninja world was completed relatively perfectly. The first side is intimidating, and the later teaching will not be too difficult. But, now it seems that the lecture notes that were organized before are superfluous. In real class, it is impossible to follow the script. These students are not others. Many of them are geniuses and people who have left their names behind. All of them have their own ideas. By the way, Obito, the first class tomorrow morning is my class. If you're late, run around the playground for 200 laps. What, with native wood, before leaving, why are you still here? What if you were really late tomorrow? Everyone, see you tomorrow. After Jingyi finished speaking, he immediately left. Back in the office, he looked at the system for the first time. At the end of the class, he heard a prompt from the system, but he didn't listen carefully. A euro complete the first class teaching a euro evaluation, excellent a euro reward ninjutsu, water dragon ball technique a euro, water dragon bomb. 44 Indians. Jing was stunned for a moment, but after receiving the check, he knew that he was blaming the system by mistake. This is a simplified version of the second generation, with only 4 seals, plus the gain obtained from the awakening of the blood of the 1,000 hands before. This ninjutsu reward is definitely not bad. Go back and try, Jingyi thought to himself. From activating the system before to awakening his bloodline, he has not tried the power of water ninjutsu, and he has no accurate assessment of his current strength. This will not work. Outskirts of Konoha. After class, Jingyi came here and found the riverside area. Then, shadow clone. A clone identical to him appeared. Time is precious. You go to practice taijutsu moves, and I will try the power of ninjutsu. Quote. Nima, why don't you change our jobs? Shadow clone wanted to complain, and his expression was speechless. But, who made it a clone? No way. He had no choice but to get up and find a place in the woods to start exercising his physique. If he could practice such physique moves as Konoha Whirlwind and Shadow Dance Leaf, he would make a profit. Jingyi isn't check the next chakra. There are many more chakras. This chakra volume, at least 3 shadow clones working at the same time is not a problem, not comparable to Naruto, but much more than adult Kakashi. Kyōichi was quite satisfied. Naruto is not only blood, but also 9-tailed chakra and Asura chakra, which are completely incomparable. He looked around, find an open space and quickly seal. Water dragon bomb. The next moment, the water flow turned into a dragon and rose up into the sky. With a roar, the ground was smashed into a big hole by the high-speed bombardment of the water dragon. Powerful, away from the river will be slightly weakened, but the gap will not be too big, at most the consumption will increase. In this way, there are kills and defenses, Jingyi thought to himself. With the water wall, water dragon bullets, and water turbulent waves, he currently has no major flaws in his abilities. Certainly, only limited to Chunin and Shengen levels. Compared with the ninjas above the elite Chunin, their means are too weak. But, take your time, there is a system, and the days are still long. He got up, ready to go back to eat a good meal. As for the avatar. Let him exercise over there. Just as Jingyi took a step, he suddenly noticed a wave of aura, and he turned his head to look over there. Who, teacher, it's me. Behind the tree, a figure slowly walked out. No need to look at him. Just by his voice, Jingyi knew who the other party was. Uchiha stops the water. Shisui, are you looking for a teacher? Yes, I have some doubts. I hope I can ask the teacher. Shisui immediately bowed. Seeing that Jingyi was very gentle, without the slightest impatience, he walked over with a hesitant expression on his face. Tell me the story, teacher. I originally wanted to graduate early this year, but after playing against you, I'm a little worried. Will early graduation cause trouble to my teammates? Shisui speaks out about his problems. Jing was stunned for a moment, then wanted to laugh a little. It seemed that he had hit him. He thought for a while, and then said, with your strength, you are definitely not weak, and you won't be a drag on the battlefield, but if the battlefield is not corrupt, I don't recommend you graduate so early. Please tell me the teacher. Shisui bowed solemnly. Sit down, let's chat as friends. Jingyi sat down, pointed to the grass, and motioned Shisui to sit down too. Stopping water does what it says. Do you know the original intention of the first generation adults and the second generation adults to create the ninja school? Shisui shook his head. Do you know the will of fire? Where the leaves are flying, the fire is constantly alive, and the light of the fire will illuminate the village and make the new trees sprout. Shisui nodded this time. It has been taught in 3 generations, and it must be learned in ideological classes. One of the meanings is that children are the future of Konoha. The first and second generations of adults advocated the construction of ninja schools in order to let children fight at night. Kyōichi explained. His grandmother belonged to a family of thousands of hands, so these histories are widely circulated, but they are not secrets, so there's no need to worry about being seen by someone who likes to peek. Shisui thought, the battlefield will make people grow up in advance, but you are only 5 years old. If you study for another year or 2, your strength and thinking will become clearer and more mature, and it will not be too late to go to the battlefield by then. Kyoichi said, how many chins are there in the battlefield? No, what is lacking is Chunin and Shengen. The 3 generations let their children go to the battlefield in advance. In essence, they just hope that they will grow up quickly under the pressure of war. Buddha euro, stop the water and stop talking. He thought about it. The first and second generation adults seem to have said similar things, but why are so many children sent to the battlefield ahead of schedule? Like Kakashi, this senior graduated at the age of 5, and now I heard that he has become a Chunin with outstanding military exploits. War will make people grow rapidly, but they will also lose a lot of things accordingly. Running first is not necessarily good. Kyoichi couldn't help but recall the relevant episodes of Kakashi in his mind. The predecessor used to be on the same team as Kakashi. That rascal euro, it can only be said that the temper is really stinky, and people can't like it at this stage. I understand, thank you teacher. Chapter 4 The sheep delivered. Of course Shisui didn't understand what Kyoichi said. He couldn't understand at this stage, but he knew one thing, the teacher didn't hate him, a student of the Uchiha family. On the contrary, he is very willing to communicate and share with himself. This is enough to make Shisui happy. Kyoichi didn't say a word. Ninja school is one of the few places where Uchiha can communicate with the rest of Konoha. After graduating early, it is too difficult to contact Konoha civilians again. Uchiha seems to be privileged, but in fact he is separated. Jingi disagreed, but was powerless to change. He said to Shisui that he didn't want to change anything, it was just a sudden rise. However, after a while, he got a prompt. A euro, you have received preliminary approval from Uchiha Shisui's heart. A euro, you get a reward, the foundation of illusion. A euro, illusion, this really involves blind spots. There are many more memories in Jingi's mind, and after thinking about it carefully for a moment, he is quite satisfied. He didn't intend to be a master illusionist. However, illusion has a solid foundation, with some additional side effects, chakra control. Teacher, can I ask you some questions in the future? Sure, Kyōichi smiled, not to cope, but really happy. Stop the water, good boy, just like sheep delivered to your door, woolen scissors are ready for you. Thank you, teacher. Shisui bowed deeply. He didn't realize that his image in Beijing had changed from a good boy to a big fat sheep who could only lick wool. Let's go, the teacher invites you to have a meal. Kyōichi smiled. Ah, no. Shisui was a little embarrassed, but was dragged away anyway. Far away, Shadow Clone looked resentful, watching him leave with Shisui from a distance. Good guy, anything with students is all fake. What's more, he just wanted to not exercise, and let his clone be a coolie here. Mind broke, Jingi let the avatar exercise the physique moves. As for the body, it's just a matter of practicing hard on your own. Going back and doing it again, the injury is still not healed. And a euro when you are full, you have the strength to exercise. Yil Ramen Restaurant, boss, 2 bowls of ramen. Okay, sir, please sit down for a while. Today, Yil is only in his 20s and looks very young, and his daughter Ayame was born not long ago. Shisui looked around curiously. He had heard of this store, and Obito seemed to like coming here, but... He hasn't eaten yet. Soon. Lin, I was really just careless during the day. If I do it again, no, when I wake up, I will definitely beat the teacher to the ground. With soil to brag outside. Before entering the door, he was still dancing, talking and gesturing. Water stopped forehead. I just thought of this brother of the same family, but I didn't expect to come in the next moment, and the appearance was so unexpected. Looking for teeth all over the place. Thank you for saying it. He has ridden many round eyes, but he doesn't think he can win Jingi, especially after seeing the power of Jingi's water escape ninjutsu. He feels even more so. The water stop is very clear. In class, the teacher didn't move at all. Jingi was not surprised at all. Obito is called the tail of the crane by Kakashi, not without a reason. This thing is not weak, but, in this period, like Naruto in the early days, his combat IQ was really not good. Detour, cooperation, don't know, still arrogant, he talks about, sharing all day long, although the gap between him and many Uchiha geniuses is actually just a shaker. After entering the door, Lin immediately stopped. Obito trembled all over, seeing Jingi's first reaction was... Turn around and leave. But, no, I have to go to class tomorrow. Running now is escaping. Looking back, the punishment may be more serious. The face turned green. Nimas, I'm just bragging, why is it so coincidental? People are numb. A stiff smile emerged from the corner of his mouth, and he bowed deeply as he entered the door. See me, Marseille. Obito, you are very good. You can make mistakes as fast as you can apologize. Yes, I'm very sorry. Obito's face turned red. Okay, sit down. Tomorrow, I will test the combination of transformation and avatar. Then you will come to the stage and give everyone a demonstration. What? PFF'd. Lin couldn't hold back. How arrogant Obito was bragging just now. How cowardly he is now. She was amused. Teacher, I can't do it. Chakra control, I'm the last. Obito's voice was inaudible when he got to the back. It was mainly because he boasted that he could beat the teacher with a shackle on his front foot, but he was hit with his back foot, and the scene was really embarrassing. It's a good thing to know that you are not enough. Practice more while you are not on the battlefield yet. As for the writing wheel, the limit of blood is only external. Whether you are strong or not depends on you. Shisui, what do you think? Having numbers is a good thing. Jingi Shunko is a sermon. What if you hit a point and get a wave of rewards? Life coach, try more, there will always be something. It just so happens that there is another Uchiha here. Isn't it a coincidence? Rational, Shisui thought for a long time, and finally nodded lightly. No Uchiha is not eager to write round eyes, but after listening to Jingi's words, he thought about it carefully and found that it is indeed as the teacher said, many strong people do not have a limit of blood, but they are still strong. For example, 3 generations of Hokage, 3 generations of Reikage. They are all strong men who have no blood, but are still famous in the ninja world. Quote. Obito felt uncomfortable, but couldn't find a reason to refute it. At this point, ramen came. Guests are slow, thanks. Jingi sorted out his mood, and then according to local etiquette, he started to move his chopsticks after walking through the scene. Go in with a mouthful. Good to eat. The taste is very strong and the ingredients are abundant. No wonder it has been able to stand in Konoha for so many years. Shisui has a complicated mood. There was apprehension in Hoya. This was the first time he didn't eat in the Uchiha clan. But, feeling good, Obito was depressed, sitting on the side and autistic. But, as soon as the ramen came up, it immediately turned into a dry rice cook. I'm gonna start now. In the middle, the wife and the child came out to help. The store is too busy. Jingi and the others came early, so they had a seat. Those who came later had to stand in line and wait in line. This was still wartime, and if it was normal, there would be more people. If you have a good craftsmanship, you can make money even in the ninja world. After eating, Jingi paid for the treat, then said goodbye to Shisui, Obito, and Lin, and went home. Looking at it, I didn't get the reward, but, not a big problem. Now it's time to raise fish, and there will always be a day when they will be hooked. Leeks are not afraid of being strong. After arriving home, his shadow avatar chakra was exhausted and the avatar state was lifted. A wave of exhaustion emerged. That really feels like sour, but it works really well. Although physical exercise is ineffective, the attempts and training of physical techniques are effective, and they can almost let him know what level of his physique is. Roughly estimated, the single theory of physique should be considered a powerful group in the upper ninja. Certainly, this is nothing. I can only say that if I go to the battlefield again, I have a certain ability to protect myself. Chapter 5 Chakra Perception Physical Skills and Water Escape are my current strengths. Although I have obtained the foundation of illusion and strengthened my ability to control chakra, illusion is not my specialty, and the next step should be to think more about earth escape. Quote. Jingi secretly planned. The reward of illusion is completely unexpected, and it is not enough to be included in the plan. It's still more important. Although the water escape is strong, it has certain geographical limitations. Tuden still has to be mastered, certainly. Another important reason is if you want to be rated as Sharingan, mastering 2 escape techniques is a must, otherwise Jinyi can only serve as a special Sharingan even if he has enough credit. If you want to find a corner in Konoha, it's definitely not enough to be especially high-minded. Hyunsu stood at the door. Kanda's house is not small, but there are not many people in the house. His parents died in the Second Ninja War, and his grandmother died a few years ago. But, there are still some treasures in the house, some books left by my grandmother. The Chincho clan is very generous. Every clan intermarrying with a foreign clan will ask them to bring something as a dowry. Those scrolls were brought by her from the Chincho clan. The predecessor didn't care about those, but Jinyi felt that there might be something there that could be used. He searched carefully. Really, one of the volumes contained special content. Some of Senju Togurama's swordsmanship materials, although only copied versions, did not systematically form swordsmanship moves, but formed a complete swordsmanship system. Konoha-style swordsmanship. This book is really precious. Hyunsu sighed in his heart. Grandma didn't choose ninjutsu scrolls, but chose to copy this book because she was very wise. If the descendants have enough understanding, a swordsmanship system can be extended from this book, but unfortunately his father does not seem to have that understanding and did not realize the secret technique. Although he has mastered certain swordsmanship, it is very superficial, and he will not learn it in his predecessor's generation. Jinyi thought for a moment and put the book away. Take a good look tonight. He looked at the rest of the books. Those were not ninjutsu scrolls or secret scrolls, but ordinary books that recorded family history. But compared to the second-generation swordsmanship notes, those family history books were read the most. Yes, start practicing now. After Jinyi rested, he had already recovered. He went to the yard. The next moment, the seal, ontology, practice this kind of thing. The best effect is to do it yourself. I want to exercise, and the swordsmanship can only be done by you. Hyunsu smiled, alone speechless. Really, when the shadow clone comes out, how could it be a blessing? Practice it. The next day, Jinyi came to the school full of energy. The power of Shinshu's bloodline was completely felt today. Not just physique. Yesterday, I had a high-intensity training for the shadow clone and the main body, but the whole night was full of vitality, and there was no sense of fatigue at all. It's soil. When Jinyi arrived in class, he couldn't help but want to laugh. It came with the soil stuck. It looks like he has rushed all the way, and he has consumed a lot of chakra on the way, and now he is out of breath and very embarrassed. Teacher, I'm not late. Obito took a few breaths. For fear that he would be late, he did not stop along the way. His physical skills and instant body skills were inherently poor, and he ran to school with little chakra left. I said yesterday that you were the first to demonstrate the combined use of the clone technique and the transformation technique. Jinyi stood on the podium and smiled. What? After hearing this, Obito's face instantly froze, and then he quickly collapsed. He forgot about it, or come out of your own mouth, or... I wish I didn't take Lin to eat ramen yesterday. He took a deep breath. Afterwards, he took the stage boldly. He quickly formed the seal. Compared with Naruto, Obito's control of chakra is still a lot stronger. After all, there is no nine-tailed disorder in his body, but I have to say. This chakra control really stinks. Soon, the chakra overflowed, and a moment later, Kakashi, who was lying on the ground, appeared beside Obito. It's exactly the same. Hyunsu sighed in his heart. With a bitter face, he didn't feel ashamed, just wondered if Jinyi would punish him for it again. This teacher, people are good, but the eye of the heart is as small as the eye of a needle. You have a lot of chakra, and your talents in ninjutsu and shuriken are good, but taijutsu and chakra control are weak points. You have to step up your training, otherwise you will be hindered in the future on the battlefield. Keiichi reminded. Obito hurriedly bowed and said, thank you, teacher. Teachers in the past just shook their heads, but... This Kanda-sensei, he didn't mean to look down on himself, but instead opened his mouth to mention. This alone made Obito wipe out many thoughts in his heart. Climb trees, tread water, and take care of yourself. Hyunsu said lightly, climbing trees, treading water. Many students below were puzzled, including Aruka. They are commoners, so how can they know this kind of knowledge before they go to teachers in groups? Use chakra to attach to the soles of your feet to climb trees, tread water. It is to use chakra to allow yourself to walk on the water. Keiichi said, I seem to have heard my father mention it. Have you practiced? Obito asked. No, I did it without practice. Yuisha shook her head. Quote. Nima, I hate talented people. With soil belly slander. Teacher, can you tell me in detail? Can. Jinyi explained clearly how to climb trees and tread water. This kind of knowledge is not a mystery, but knowledge itself has barriers. If no one teaches, the people below will not understand. He mentioned that he also hoped that civilian children could practice in advance, so that they would not fall behind too much on the battlefield in the future, and hope that they would survive. Certainly, perhaps the third generation hopes that these will be postponed to teaching in groups. But, this is wartime, how can Sharingan have time to teach? You guys practice more often, that's alright, the next one. Jinyi nodded in motion for the others to come up. Except for Obito, other people don't consume much chakra, and their control is good. It is not difficult to combine transformation and avatars. In the end, he asked to increase the number of avatars. This is harder, but, this time, even Obito recovered. Although 2 or 3 of them were crooked melons and cracked dates, it could be seen that Obito's own abilities were not as good as Naruto's. Previously, he was just exhausted from chakra. Soon. Finished one class. Easy. Hyunsu enjoyed it a little. The children of the ninja world are much easier to teach than the bear children of the previous life. They are all very obedient, and the most skinny students are only late, skip classes and leave early. Not to mention, when he took over, the students left early. Come back to the office. Jing glanced at the system panel. A euro complete the lectures on transformation, combined use of clone, tree climbing, and treading water. A euro evaluation. Excellent. A euro reward, chakra perception. A euro, chakra perception. Jing looked around, and then chose to receive it with a thought. Then, his fingers touched the ground, and after a while, chakra came out, and everything around him came into his mind. It really is this technique. Chapter 6. Do you know what class conflict is? Exactly. This is not ninjutsu or secret art, but the ability of the second Hokage Senju Togurama. Okay. Jinyi chakra scattered, and quickly sensed the darkness around him. There was a figure in the dark, but from his position, he could clearly see part of the situation in his courtyard and even in the house. Anbu, Keiichi didn't turn his head. He knew that the other party was probably staring at him at the moment. Looking further out, there is Anbu in another direction of his house, but there is no more outside. To Anbu, Jinyi converges on chakra, thinks for a moment, and knows it in his heart. I used to be only Chunin, and the people above all know how strong I want to be. After returning from injury, I have improved a lot, and my physique has improved. 3 generations may have guessed it. The current monitoring is, on the one hand, just in case, on the other hand, is to confirm the situation. The 2 Anbu should have followed yesterday. The blood of 1,000 hands. Quote. Jingyi thought for a moment, narrowed his eyes, and finally said nothing, pretending not to know that Anbu exists around his house. But, he's not just thinking about 3 generations. There are also groups. Most of Konoha's dirty things have something to do with him, and 9 out of 10 plots are never wronged in his name. Therefore, the previous life Danzo is called the Pot Shadow. Previously, Jingyi felt that he was miserable, and he was the culprit for 3 generations all his life, but in Konoha, he had to consider the impact of Danzo Euro. This old bastard should have been secretly studying intercolumnar cells in recent years, right? Previously, only Tsunade was left in Konoha's true bloodline of Shinsho, and Tsunade was so powerful and prestige that Danzo didn't dare to move at all. However, I am different. The Kanda family is left with only oneself, a Chunin. No one dares to say anything if it is dealt with in secret. The more Jingyi thought about it, the more crises he felt. The current Konoha is the 3rd generation and Danzo is in power. It is really hard to imagine what these 2 old yin goods will do. Fortunately, I got chakra perception myself. With this perception technique, you can at least predict the opponent's actions in advance. Actually, if it's just the cells between the columns, it's very good for me to get my hands on it, but it's no different from Danzo. It's no different from seeking skin with a tiger. Quote. At the end of today's class, many of you are not up to the standard in the 3-body technique. Go back and continue to practice. Another day of class is over. Kyungsu is a little tired. This class is too talented, but there are still many chakras who are not strong in control as students, they are naturally enough. But, as genin who want to go to the battlefield, they are still far behind. Among them, Obito made rapid progress. He can already climb trees. This guy is indeed talented, but unfortunately, he keeps talking about Sharingan, as if he can destroy the world if he opens his eyes. Jingyi was unable to complain in his heart. After leaving the school after class, he secretly observed it with chakra perception. Anbu disappeared. Left, Kyungsu thought to himself. If it is the root, it will never give up easily. It appears to be 3 generations of men. This is a good thing. He breathed a sigh of relief, touched his pocket, and let out a long sigh. I was going to find someone to forge a sword. Buddha Euro poor. He understands the corners, because at this moment, he can't wait to find a wanted criminal and arrest him for money. Chunin wages are too low. That's it, exercise first. As for the sword, we will talk about it when the salary is paid. Kyoichi started running towards the suburbs along the Konoha road. However, it didn't take long for him to perceive someone following him. He moved forward quietly. Shisui followed from behind and was about to chase forward when suddenly, the cold Kujia was on his neck. The one running ahead turned into a bubble. Doppelganger. Shisui was surprised. Teacher, have you found me? I found out what's difficult for you. Don't you still have classes? Kyoichi made a joke, and then put away kunai. Shisui bowed slightly. A look of hesitant speech. Go, run together, yes. Seeing that the teacher did not ask any further questions, Shisui showed a hint of joy on his face. Then, he followed behind Jingyi, and the 2 of them ran outside along the road one after the other. After getting far away from Konoha, Shisui caught up and whispered, Teacher, I went back yesterday. The patriarch hopes that I can graduate this year, and then join Anbu, your patriarch, Uchiha Fuyuke. Jingyi raised his brows after hearing this. No wonder he ran so far to say this, and at the same time, Shisui would be surprised to talk to him about this. This kid, really trust yourself. Hey, he knows shit. What? Shisui was stunned for a moment. This teacher at home. He was a little surprised that he would say such a thing. Ji Shui, you are a smart person, and you trust me to talk about this with me. I am very moved. Do you know what your patriarch means? Yes, the water pressure is low. Although he was young, he was very intelligent and precocious, and he already knew many things. For example, the meaning of the patriarch is obviously to hope that he can quickly show his talent, show his intention to lean towards Konoha, and then join Anbu to serve Uchiha. But, he didn't think it was right to do so. Shisui, you are studying at the ninja school, is there anything unpleasant? Unpleasant? Well, not at all, it's just those other classmates who don't want to be close to our Uchiha. Do you know why? Kyungsu smiled. Shisui shook his head. You are still young, and you can't control many things. I said that you may not understand much, but you can keep your own ideas, observe and think more with your own thinking. Like the problem you encountered, you can think about the reason, and treat it as an extra topic for skipping class this time. After Jingyi finished speaking, he directly accelerated the speed. Want the reason? Shisui was stunned for a moment, then quickly followed. He pondered as he ran. However, where did Shisui think about this? Before, he just thought about those classmates ignoring him, and he didn't pay attention to those people. I'll be graduating soon anyway, but, find out why. Is it because of the Uchiha clan? But, why? He thought about it, and it was really weird. Unknowingly, he followed Jingyi for a short distance and was so tired that he was out of breath. Jingyi had actually slowed down, but Shisui continued to run as if he didn't notice it. Soon, they ran back to Konoha. Okay, I'm here today, and I'll talk later when you figure it out. Kyungsu smiled. Class contradiction. If you tell it directly to Ji Shui, he will definitely not understand. Let him figure it out for himself, and, there is an example here. Yes, Shisui nodded heavily. As soon as Jing left, he was about to return to the Uchiha clan, and he glanced at random, but saw a person who surprised him. Bring soil. How could he be here? This is a small village on the edge of Konoha. Most of the people living there are commoners and some old men and old ladies. Obito seems to have a good relationship with them, talking and laughing eating the fruits given by the old ladies. Why? Chapter 7 Who said child bear? It's not good. What is Shisui doing? He's helping civilians carry water and firewood. What? 3 generations of eyes flashed a daze. The moment he heard the news, he even thought that he had heard the wrong name, and that Obito was Shisui, but after a while, he felt that he was not old enough, and his subordinates were not so drowsy enough to admit the wrong person. He was stunned for a long time, then, put down the pipe in his hand. Shisui helped to carry water and firewood. Yes, Anbu was also confused. In fact, carrying water and carrying firewood is a life of renunciation. But, now is the time of war, how can genin do these things? So many tasks have been accumulated, and usually take the soil there to do it, and everyone just pretends not to see it. However, Shisui is a genius valued by the Uchiha family. He didn't go to training and went to the commoner's house to work for a white job like Obito. What is this? Well, I see. Sandai waved his hand in motion for him to go down. Then, he immediately took out his crystal ball and used the telescope technique. Soon, in the crystal ball, there is a picture of Obito and Shisui helping to carry water together. The three representatives were at a loss. He didn't understand at all how Shisui also mixed with him. Is it the soil, or Uchiha Tomatake? 3 generations frowned. If it is the soil and water stop, then it is okay to say, but if it is Uchiha Fuyu, it is really troublesome. He lit his cigarette unconsciously. After thinking about it carefully, the third generation thought of another person. Kakashi. I heard before that since Jingyi became a teacher, Shisui gradually got closer to him, and after that, the 2 ate bowls of noodles at Eel Ramen. Is it him? Not impossible. The 3 generations thought of this, and pulled out the Anbu scrolls from the previous 2 days. It's written on them what they saw. The body is strong and the recovery ability is very strong. I use the shadow clone to speed up the training. There is a swordsmanship practice in the hospital. According to dark observation, although Kyoichi's body is not as scary as the first generation of adults, it is not too different from Senju Togurama's physique. There is no doubt about the blood of 1,000 hands. As for the swordsmanship notes, the one from the Kanda family was a close relative of the teacher back then. The 3 generations sighed in their hearts. He never imagined that the Shinsho family was gone, and it was incredible that one day he would be able to awaken such a powerful physique among the descendants of Shinsho again. Certainly, if this is the case, the 3 generations still have doubts. The Shinsho family disappeared, maybe not everyone wanted to do so, and he was still a little worried in his heart. But, if Shisui's change was really because of Kakashi, he would be overjoyed, because it was enough to prove that the 1,000-armed descendant who had awakened after another generation still had the will of fire in his heart. The 3 generations thought again and again, took out the test list of Shengen, and added one to the top. Kakashi. For the next 2 days, Jingyi had no classes. When he came to school on the 3rd day, sitting in the office, he heard the teacher in another class complaining to another. Hey, I don't know what's going on, Uchiha Shisui has also started to be late recently. Definitely learn from Obito. Indeed, every time Shisui is late, that kid will have a share. Shisui also started to be late. Jingyi was surprised, and then looked strange. Even being late to learn a hand. Absolutely. I asked him to observe, but I didn't tell him to really learn to do things with soil. Jingyi, today is your first class. If those 2 boys are late again, you can't be soft-hearted. The first time you were soft-hearted, they won't be afraid the second and third time. Yes, thank you Shikyun Sr. Jing nodded. As the time approached, he was about to pick up his things and walk to the classroom. When he glanced outside, he saw 2 figures swooping past the door. Although it is fast, but the teacher is at least Chunin, so they can see clearly. Stop water, bring soil. Quote. In the office, the atmosphere was dull for a while. No class yet. The 2 boys didn't behave like this the other day, and even Shisui took the lead in skipping class occasionally. As a result, it was Kakashi's turn. Not only were they not late, but they arrived early. I thought it was a broken water stop. Unexpectedly, the other party just couldn't see his class. What? My mind is broken. Ishimura Chongchong stared at Jingyi, watched him leave the office, and then couldn't help but slammed his head against the table with a look of embarrassment. Teacher Shikyun, it doesn't matter, just 2 bare children. Quote. No, the temporary teachers are more popular than me, it's uncomfortable. Ishimura Chongchong wanted to cry but had no tears. He thought to himself that he had taught for more than 10 years, and that he had graduated countless ninjas, but in the end, he was not as popular as a student who was temporarily transferred. The other teachers were silent for a moment. Heartbroken old man. Kakashi left the office, but he actually heard it. No way. Perceptually, the ear power has also improved. All he can say about this is, what they teach is dry goods, and they are naturally incomparable with themselves. To the classroom, everyone sat upright. Today, I saw Obito and Shisui rushing to class with the Shunshu technique. It's very good. In this way, let's test the 3-body technique first. If there is no problem, I'll tell you about the Shunshu technique. Keiichi thought about it and said, I didn't teach new content a few days ago, and even the system did not bubbling. Teach something new today. Instant. This technique is actually only AD level ninjutsu, but the effect is very different in the hands of different people. It is also a basic ninjutsu worthy of deep practice. Okay, there was jubilation in the classroom, certainly. Only partially, because there are a large number of people who don't actually master the 3-body technique. Jing took a look around, smiled and said, don't be too happy, we are in a special period now, so the upper and lower grades are mixed together to teach. I see it as a whole, understand? Yes, Lin, Hong Yui and several other senior students instantly understood the meaning. They are almost useless. In the whole class, if many people are not proficient in the 3-body technique, they have to wait for those children who are slow in understanding. If you want to learn the blinking technique earlier, you have to help the children who are behind to improve their grades. Obito knows that he has his own share here, but he has confidence. In the past 2 or 3 days with Jishui, he did not always do good deeds, and occasionally asked this genius brother for advice. Test it out. Really. Although most of them have mastered it proficiently, half of them have not learned to climb trees and tread water, and the 3-body technique is relatively unfamiliar. At this time, many geniuses below began to write comprehension, lecture notes, and figured out how to motivate other people in the class. During free practice, most quickly find those students who fall behind. Kyungsu admires his genius. Originally, we had to catch children with poor grades, but now we have not solved it all. Who said they were bears? That's not good. But, a student caught his attention. Moonlight Blast. This kid is very gifted and learns fast, but... Cough cough. The combination of transformation and avatar. It is a good idea to allocate chakra, and the seal must be fast. You can complete the tree climbing first. Ahem, I will teach you. This cough. Kind of fierce, bro. Chapter 8 let you observe, not let you surpass Moonlight Blast. The information about him appeared in Kyoichi's mind. Moonlight, swordsmanship heirloom, poor health, but... In the memory of Jingyi's previous life, there are many more in-depth materials. Through the tunnel, suspected tuberculosis. There were no anti-tuberculosis drugs in this era. Yugong Blaze had lung disease since childhood, and practiced dungeon and swordsmanship, so it is no wonder that he died early in the future. Kyungsu frowned. To the Yugong family, he is just an outsider, and what can he do even if he interferes? No medical ninjutsu, no medicine, can't do anything. For such a disease, in the absence of specific medicines, only one person in the entire Konoha can cure Yuro, Tsunade. However, the current Tsunade Shenlong sees the beginning and the end, and if you want to find her, you can only go to various places to stay, which is too difficult. There are good students and poor students, and Jingyi doesn't have to do it himself. Children of the ninja world are sensible, just rest. Before class, he split a shadow clone to practice swordsmanship at home. Too tired to take it any longer, the mentality of the teachers in the office was even more broken. This a euro isn't this kind of teaching misleading the children. But, the strange thing is that the children are very happy and very motivated. Weird, is self-taught better than teacher-taught? Confusing. They wanted to learn secretly, but now, they can only say that Jingyi's teaching makes them difficult to understand. After class, Jing took a look at the eye system and couldn't help but be happy. You have mobilized the autonomy of the students, and most of the students have learned something. A euro evaluation, good a euro reward, the proficiency of the instant body technique has been improved. Jingyi's body twisting technique is not bad, but it's only good in Chunin, and it seems that it is not enough to watch at the level of Shengen. This wave of proficiency rose in time, he figured it out a bit. The reward of the system should be based on the improvement effect and psychological feedback of the students. So he understands. Jingyi pondered for a moment, and after clapping his hands to attract everyone's attention, he said, this class is here, everyone can practice on their own after school, and I will test them in the next class. If the effect is up to standard, I can guide you, it is good. Everyone has a warm attitude. Teachers who don't know are very impressed. Jingyi looks young, but his teaching methods are very strong, while those who know have mixed feelings, envy, jealousy and hatred. It's so easy, it happens that students eat this set. After all, as long as you master it, you can learn new knowledge in ninjutsu. Who doesn't want it? Change them, they want to. Students are not tolerant. In schools, teachers will only teach the most basic things, and nothing else will be involved. Not that teachers don't want to teach, but most teachers themselves are not proficient. They also know a little about climbing trees and treading water. However, the instant body technique is much worse. The level of their level, Shangnin people do not look down on them at all, and even some children from families do not look down on them. If they are taught, accidents will happen, so it is better not to teach them. Kakashi, they didn't know much about Jingyi, but they only knew that this kid was injured in the battlefield, and after he recovered, he was taken to the post of the army. Temporary, not the same. Senior Shikyun, my class is over, and the next class is yours. Okay, thank you Kanda-sensei. Ishimura Takasari took a deep breath. To myself, he must let the children know that teaching depends on the old teachers. Kyungsu packs his things. Calculate the time. When I came back from an injury some time ago, Kikyoyama was almost over. The battle with Sandian village is almost over for the time being. There should be some peace during this time, but in half a year at most, the war between the outer village and the country of fire will begin again. Not much time for yourself. Fortunately, there is a system. Jingyi received the reward, and a lot of knowledge about the instant body technique came into his mind. The level of proficiency depends on the details. Use of chakra, physical strength, etc. Grasp of speed, etc. Go out and practice. Jingyi sorted out the documents and left the school. After confirming that no one was watching, he ran a long way, and then he probably had a bottom line. A big improvement. Chakra consumes and casts the shunshu technique much faster, and the speed and distance are more accurate. His instant shunjutsu is now more powerful than many joinin. This level, not to mention ordinary students, even if the current Zishui is still calm. Go back to eat. I moved my muscles and bones, and I only dealt with some random breakfast, and now I am really hungry. He went to the village entrance. 2 people appeared in his sight, and Jingyi was surprised when he saw this scene. Stop water, bring soil. Did the 2 skip class again? He even ran out to do good deeds. Do good deeds, right? Zishui, is it really good for us to do this? Teacher sighed. Quote. It's okay, I can teach you the shuriken taught by teacher Shimura. Brother Obatu, if you don't understand anything, I can teach you everything. Good guy, Shisui is also the main culprit of truancy. Let you observe, but you have surpassed Obito. Kyungsu was a little Kuriasa Euro. How does Takashi Ishimura feel now? He must be pissed. The 2 of them rushed to their class. His class, directly slipped. Too disrespectful. Jingyi felt that he might not look good when he met tomorrow, but it doesn't matter anymore. He was a temporary worker at the ninja school, and he might leave next year, so he doesn't need to care about the opinions of these people. Jingyi shook his head, ready to eat noodles as planned. But, at this time, Zishui also found him. Teacher. Are you here too? Shisui really does not avoid suspicion. He was still skipping class, but when he saw Jingyi, he ran over. You're really not afraid of me, so you're not worried that I will take you back. You're not one of those rigid teachers. Shisui smiled. Obito was a little afraid to approach behind him, but he was relieved to find that Jingyi had no intention of taking Zishui back. I asked you to observe, but I didn't ask you to follow along, and I even dragged Obito to skip class together. Quote. Kyungsu was speechless. I understand a little bit, but I don't understand it completely. I don't know how to say it at all, so I want to try again. Stop the water and scratch your head. Along with Obito, he found that the attitude of the commoner old ladies to him became more and more kind, and seemed to forget that he was a member of Uchiha. But, ask him to tell the reason, but he can't tell. At this moment, Zishui's heart was as uncomfortable as an insect bite. He didn't want to go to any class except for Jingyi's class. As for the soil, this guy's ninjutsu and fighting are okay, but let him think about it. Shisui feels that it is difficult for him to be strong, even if Obito is 4 years older than him. Go ahead, don't say you've met me. Kyungsu nodded. In his view, this is a good thing. The original Shisui was too naive, thinking that the contradiction between Uchiha and Konoha could be resolved only by means of ninjutsu and illusion, but he did not know that everything he did was useless. Stop the water and be naive. Even with Itachi, he was demoted, and he did a bunch of cerebral palsy later on. Thinking about it now, it's good. Chapter 9. Not many people understand the will of fire. What are you talking about? I don't understand at all. It's nothing. Teacher, goodbye. Shisui waved goodbye. He still doesn't understand, and he has to continue to search for answers. Jingyi watched them leave, sighing inwardly. In Konoha, Uchiha is not the only corner. It can be called a village within a village. There is another family as well, the Hyuga family. Uchiha sends people to study at the ninja school at least every year, while the Hinata family hardly sends people to the ninja school. Most of them teach within their own clan. However, only Uchiha was targeted, while Hinata was not suppressed by any policy, and the reason was not just in the Uchiha families, different hearts, themselves. Even if Shisui becomes the patriarch and leads his clan to become a good Uchiha, Danzo may not be willing to put down the butcher's knife. In his attitude towards Uchiha, he is even worse than the 3rd generation. If Shisui couldn't figure out the reason for the estrangement between Uchiha and Konoha civilians, there would be no need to elaborate on these things. Jingyi turned around and headed for Yil Ramen restaurant. As for the 3rd generation, what are you worried about? 3 generations are different from Danzo after all. I just contact Zishui because of the friendship between teachers and students, and let Zishui and Obito help the commoners and white jobs together. He has to thank us. He went to Yil Ramen restaurant. Just as he was about to sit down, a figure quickly rushed towards him. Swoosh, one beep, a masked Anbu ninja appears. Kakashi, the 3rd generation ordered you to go to the Hokage building. Yes, okay, I'll go right away. Kyungsu was surprised. But, the other party's purpose is very strong, and it is obviously aimed at himself. He didn't think much about it, and followed the Anbu ninja to the Hokage building. Both of them used the shunjutsu very fast, and they arrived at the Hokage building in just a few seconds. 3 generations of adults, people brought it. Go down. Yes, Anbu ninja disappeared. In the office, only 3 generations of Hokage and Kakashi were left. The 3 generations of Hokage took off the hat, stood up with a smile like an ordinary old man, looked up and down at Jingyi, and sighed. I didn't expect that you were so old after not seeing you for a few years. 3 generations of adults know me. Kyōichi was a little surprised. Of course, your grandmother and my teacher are close relatives. I hugged you when you were born, 3 generations said with a smile. This, I haven't heard grandma mention it. Jingyi scratched his head shyly and smiled awkwardly. But, his heart is clear, it's hard to say whether this is the case or not. Most likely not, but there is no need to dismantle it. The 3 generations said this scene, and they have been using many actions to close the psychological distance between him and himself when entering the door, obviously trying to win over himself. It's better than staying away. Hee. After all, you are still my son and nephew. Sit and chat as family. Thank you 3 generations of adults. Kyōichi bowed. After 3 generations sat down, he took the chair and sat down. The 3rd generation picked up the cigarette stick, smiled and pointed it before saying, how have you been feeling recently after you returned to the village from an injury? Master Wei, you may not believe it. After my injury, my body seems to be stronger, and my water escape ninjutsu seems to be more powerful. Kyoichi will tell the truth about some of the information. The smile on the 3rd generation's face became brighter and brighter. After taking a cigarette, he said, silly boy, you have the blood of the Chinsho family in your body. This is the awakening of the Chinsho bloodline, huh? Really, that's right, 3 generations are more and more happy. Kakashi didn't hide anything, and gave honest feedback to himself. This is good. After he smoked a cigarette, he added, I've also heard about your performance in school. It's wartime, and the school's grades and graduation times are very confusing. It doesn't make much sense to follow the class step by step. You've done a good job of teaching flexibly, yes. Jingyi had a big smile on his face, thinking about the intentions of the 3 generations in his heart. Mention Chinsho blood, school performance. Are you going to give yourself a promotion? Don't be too nervous, I called you here to chat with you. By the way, your strength has reached the level of Shengen after awakening the blood of Chinsho. Would you like to take the Shengen exam? 3 generations took out an application form. Application for the Jonin exam. This form needs to be filled out by yourself. Junin exam. Kyōichi was stunned. He guessed that it might be a benefit to himself, but he didn't expect that it was directly the Shengen promotion test. Shang Nin. He was lost in thought. There are pros and cons to this matter. When you become a Yanin, you have a greater degree of power and freedom, but your responsibilities are correspondingly greater, and the tasks you will take on after that are even more arduous. But, anyway, the 3 generations, assessment of their own strength is here, and instead of being promoted to Shengen, the other party has ideas. Thinking of this, he scratched his head and said, Lord Naruto, I'm just Chunin, I'm worried that I'm not capable enough. The strength is absolutely enough, and other aspects can be exercised. There is a lot of vacancies in the war for many years. Now there is an urgent need for manpower to make up. If you can make up for it, it will be the best. 3 generations sigh. The adults think I can do it, then I will try. Kyōichi breathed a sigh of relief. He took the list and signed it. That's right, ability can be cultivated. Spirit and will are the key. There are not many people who can understand the will of fire. 3 generations said with a smile. Jingyi understands. Stop the water. See, he said that the 3rd generation has to thank himself. Certainly, now Uchiha is probably jumping on his feet. He's a genius, and he became like this within a few days of becoming a teacher. He might have to come to trouble him another day, but it doesn't matter. Uchiha's current group of people are soft-footed shrimp. When Madara ran away, they did not dare to follow. After the death of Jing, 3 generations of superiors were oppressed layer by layer, causing them to gradually move away from the center of Konoha, but they still did not dare to resist. It wasn't until the days went by that I thought of rebelling. Why did you go early? Jinchiki despised the current Uchiha in his heart, including Uchiha Fugaku. This is also incompetent, weak and indecisive. If Shisui can get rid of his unrealistic delusions and naivety, even Shisui is much more qualified than Fuyu. Out of the office, Jingyi walked home, thinking secretly in his heart. The attitude of the 3 generations is obvious. He was recruiting himself, hoping that he would rely on the Naruto faction. For this reason, he also brought out the relationship between the Thousand Hands and Shengutsu's Rotten Sesame. Although it is ridiculous, it is enough to prove that the 3 generations have no malice towards him. In a short period of time, there is no need to worry about the 3 generations taking a shot at yourself. Even, Sandai may also protect himself from Danzo. Just be prepared for covert tactics. As for promotion to Shengen, there will be wars in the coming year, and having a Shengen position will benefit me a lot. So, the position of Shengen must be contested. Only a euro. As a joinin, what should I do with my system? Jing took a look at the iTutor system. This system is a good teacher, and after becoming Shengen, there is absolutely no possibility that he will continue to stay in the ninja school. However, he was originally a temporary worker, and even if he wasn't Shengen, it seemed unlikely that he would continue to stay in the ninja school after his injury. As soon as Jing thought of this, his thoughts became clear. When you become a Yanin, you can also apply to lead a team. No matter how good you are, you can use the characteristics of being a good teacher, and you can point others everywhere. No problem. Chapter 10 Rare Beast Father and Son, well-deserved reputation. It's not quite the same now as Naruto was. The selection of the Chunin and Shengen exams is actually up to the village. The joint Chunin exam is a game method for villages in peacetime after the war. So, the Junin exam this time was held inside Konoha. During the war years, the promotion process of joinin was generally very simple, but the current situation is different. The war is almost over. Yes, the 3 generations mentioned it to Jingyi. The war on the front line is completely over. Sandian village seeks peace, and now the ninjas have withdrawn themselves. The war is in the final stage, and some ninjas will even return to the village recently. The ninja school graduation exam is also on the agenda. It seems that we have to find a way to speed up the progress during this time. So many little sheep, it's a pity not to eat one. Jingyi thought about it secretly. If his guess about the system is correct, the next wave of teaching the Shunshu technique should be able to gain a lot of money. But, just teaching children, that's all the reward. It seems that this system needs to be studied. According to the novice reward, the reward that I have received so far is really not high. There are definitely ways to get even higher rewards. The next day, Jingyi had no class, so he let his clone practice swordsmanship while he went out to exercise. There are many more people on the street. It seems that some ninjas have returned. Kyungsu saw an acquaintance, all green, Matt K. He graduated from the ninja school at the age of 7. In that exam, he also fought with Obito, directly interrupting the nod of Obito's fireball technique. After running for a while, Jingyi saw another acquaintance. Matt Day, the same outfit, except for more beards, is simply an enlarged version of Kai. Matt Day, Jing suddenly moved in his heart. That's a good goal. Others don't know, but he understands how strong Mad Dai is physically. In the original book, Might Dai did not understand physical skills, and only relying on his strong body to open the 8 dungeons, he beat and kicked the famous Wu Nin 7 knives into the 3 auspicious treasures. If you learn physical skills, then what? Jing Yi was heartbroken. If you can point out Mad Dai, the reward is definitely not ordinary. But, if you go up rashly, you have to give pointers. The other party is afraid that he will not be treated as neurotic. Still have to draw it slowly. Thinking of this, he didn't say much, just ran as usual. Maddie didn't notice at first, but on the second lap, he noticed Jingyi who had been running. Are there any ninjas in the village who are keen on taijutsu? And, very young, at most 15 or 16, Maddie was a little curious. Third round, fourth round, Matekai accelerates. Kyungsu smiled inwardly. The child really couldn't hold back his breath, so he couldn't help but want to make a gesture. He also picked up speed. Jingyi has 1,000 bloodlines, and his body recovers very quickly. Although he is not as strong as Mayday, but, I can't outrun you, I can't outrun you. After an hour, Matekai noticed that Jing was not blushing or panting, and knew that this young man who was a few years older than him didn't use much effort at all, and he would definitely be able to run up faster, and it wouldn't be too hard. Just when he was thinking about whether to take off the weight. Kai, you guy, bang, heavy muffled sound, Matekai was kicked out. Follow closely, Maddie rushed over with a swoosh, hugged his head with tears in his eyes and said, you bastard. Training hard is not for you to compete and fight. Yes, father, I know I was wrong. Quote. Take a deep breath. It's no wonder that Kai is called a rare beast by the dried persimmon ghost shark, which can be seen from the current Mad Dai. The two hugged and cried bitterly. Raosha Jingyi had seen it in the anime, but he also felt a strong sense of discomfort. When these two people changed to his age, they were definitely out-and-out social bullshit patients. Too fierce, only, in the eyes of others, it is inevitably a bit embarrassing. At the moment, he was considering whether to walk away for a while and come back later. Fortunately, at this time, the crying stopped. Thank you for not having the same knowledge as my child. Maddie said gratefully. Although he didn't know Jingyi's position, he vaguely felt that he was at least above the Chunin or even stronger. Just exercising, what's that? Kyungsu shook his head. Then, he said goodbye to Maddie and Metke, and continued to run forward. After running for a while, he went to a roadside woods and started to practice his moves. In fact, it is the physical technique that Kai researched. Whirlwind of Leaves. This move is the core of Matekai Genkuan Teishu, and many of the subsequent Teishu moves are extended from this, and it is not too difficult. Previously, Jingyi's shadow clone took half a day to practice. At first, Maddie and Metke didn't care, but, after passing by a few times, they saw Jingyi was still practicing flying spin kick over there, and they couldn't help but start trying to figure out this move. Result, aren't you running away? Ah, I'm very sorry, we watched your practice secretly just now, I'm really sorry. Maddie immediately bowed and apologized. Although ninja practice is not so taboo, such as moves, they have been staring at it and it is easy to cause disputes. It's nothing, I'm still researching this technique. If you are interested, you can think about it together. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kakashi, and I'm the teacher of the ninja school. How about you? Are you a teacher at the school? Matt K was a little surprised. She doesn't look much older than herself. Candace-sensei, my name is Mayday, this is my son Matekai. Matella said while pulling K. You guys are very strong, do you want to study physique moves with me? Thissa euro a euro, you really want to teach me? Dai hesitated, but Matekai couldn't help it. This trick is very appetizing. He wants to learn. It's not a very powerful technique, I'm just thinking about it. Kyungsu said, suddenly exerting strength, he jumped up and kicked the roundabout, kicking heavily on the tree. The stout tree shook several times. It's actually a simple roundhouse kick, but with physical strength and chakra, you can play different levels of attack. Jingyi said, and kicked out again. This time, not a tree, but a rock. Bang, with one foot, the stone cracked. Okay, that's amazing. My father, Matt K turned to look at Matt Day. He wants to learn. But, Matty had said before that he had only mastered that move in 20 years. If he was distracted and practiced by himself, he might not be able to master his father's move. Kai hesitated. In fact, Matty was also hesitant. He is Wan Yen Shanin, and his son Kai is also not a genius. In school, except for physical skills, all the other grades are unqualified, and he can graduate only by extraordinary physical skills. Usually, the two have been unpopular. This boy is a chunin at a young age, and he is very kind and even willing to teach them physical skills. Candace-sensei, it's just gymnastics. Jingyi didn't force it, and said that he practiced on his own. Matekai imitated the action on the side. Mayday hesitated for a moment, and finally left without pulling a Kai.